That is mad controversial.
That is. You're
Hello everyone, welcome back to me, myself and Ife, and we're back with another episode of Classroom Convos. So I'm just going to let my esteemed guests introduce themselves and their degrees.
Obviously, you already know who it is. Your boy Danny, politics and sociology student. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Like I said before I was really interrupted. Politics and sociology student.
That's fucked it. He's fucked it.
So this is just a segment of the show where we talk about topical issues you don't know by now, get to know me. I am Ife, I study maths and economics.
I'm Dami, study politics and sociology.
Dion, I do history.
I'm Dan, I do philosophy.
I'm Mary, I do philosophy.
I'm Timmy and I do biomedical science.
I'm Nadine and I do econ.
So today we're going to be discussing whether the self-victimisation of black people can hinder their success and advancement in the world rather than just institutional racism and stuff like that. So going around, what are your guys' general view? General, like just very general.
80% institutional, 20% you.
And that's where you got those statistics from.
As in like 20% it's your ambition, drive, motivation, blah, 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 all that stuff as to what that means for your future.
So are you saying that the thing that determines how successful someone will be is external factors that they can't control? Is that what you're saying?
To an extent, yeah.
So you're saying that...
I mean it is though, because like someone born in one parent household, low socioeconomic background, went to a state school, Ofsted was shit, all these things, that their likelihood, like the majority of those people are not going to have the same sort of outcome as to someone that went to Eton, lived here, did that, had this mum, had the dad in Dubai, had do you know what I mean? Like that's what that means.
The optimist in me and the motivated individual that I can be sometimes would tell me that, you know, it's about how much effort and how well you can envision your dream and actually pursue it. And so in that respect, you know, I like to put the burden of such responsibilities on me. But it would be naive of me to not acknowledge that there are such forms of institutionalized racism, structural racism that inhibit your ability to envision your dreams and achieve those dreams. So I actually say 50-50.
I agree.
I say it's 50-50, 60-40, like it's close. It's very, very close. On the one hand, you know, obviously you have institutions like the police, like school, like prison, and all of this like kind of geared against, say, black people or ethnic minorities. But I think that because there are those facts, because there is racism happening, it can lead to some black people saying, okay, it's because I'm black, it's because I'm black, it's because I'm black, when sometimes, maybe not always, but sometimes there's going to be the fact that, you know, you need to do better. Like, yes, you're black, but you're also not good enough for this position. And so if you constantly kind of look at it as it's because I'm black, then there's never going to be that self-improvement. And so if you kind of apply it, if you apply this like along the race, and if we have a whole race kind of focusing on the fact that we're oppressed and focusing on the fact that we're black as a race, how are we gonna push through the barriers that are there if we just constantly see ourselves as the victims?
I feel like it probably swings more towards the side like external factors, because like you talk about how obviously the optimist in you and the idealist in you thinks you can do it, but like if you're looking from like a Marxist point of view, they would argue that that's what they would call the myth of meritocracy. So it's part of like apparently they believe that's some of these like ideologies that like the bourgeoisie have kind of seeped into the working class, where it's like this idea that no, if you work hard, you get there. Basically, the perfect example is the American dream. If you work hard, you get there, and everyone believes it. But they don't. The reality, because if you go and ask, I mean, I've not really studied the whole American dream, but I've heard that. I mean, a lot of people really believed it, and for the reality for most of them, there was no American dream. So in that essence, some could even argue that that idea that you think that, oh, I can do it by myself, that kind of plays into it in that sense. I don't know.
I hear you.
Look at
I hear
that.
you. When we see like where the black community have really, really struggled historically, I might not be the most educated on it as a historian would be, but for me it'd probably be slavery, transatlantic slavery, right? Now, if we were to empathise with slaves back then, would they approve of our sort of victimization, considering the struggles that they went through? That doesn't invalidate your experiences, but at the same time, I look at that and I think, God, I'm out. Sometimes I complain about this stupid shit. I was gonna say goddamn.
Is it like party relative though?
That's what I was gonna say.
Like,
Yeah,
as in, like, so
same.
they obviously their struggle was bad.
Damn.
Like that cannot be like underplayed
Yeah.
in any way possible. But a lot of people they can't relate to that. Do you know what I mean? They've never had that kind of struggle. The kind of struggle that they will face on a daily basis will be things like, I'm not able to move up in this job because, you know, I don't look a certain way, or I can't do this because I'm from here. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's kind of hard to sort of draw the comparison.
I agree with you. Like it's awfully tight because like
Awfully.
sorry. You can look at that with like anything and say, okay, people struggled more in the past, so like I'm lucky to be where I am now. But unfortunately, it's not. You just can't look at life that way, because in 20 years people are going to be struggling less than we are now, and like people are always going to be struggling less, but it's about right now kind of thing. Like, what are you dealing with right now? But what I would say is that I feel like some people could be. I'll get that. I'll kind of be like hooked to slavery in the sense that it's like, sorry, you can't. Oh, they can't even see.
You should rest.
to slavery, let's say, and so it's like, okay, yeah. We were slaves in the past, we were slaves in the past, we were slaves in the past, we've struggled. You don't know how we struggled as a race, you don't know how we struggled as a race. And so that is actually often like,
It's a
it's
burden,
a burden, that can drag, I don't know what this physicality is.
Analogy.
This is very much a personal thing. I don't think that it should something which should be expressed by everyone. But what I do feel is that some of the struggles that I think I've gone through are incomparable to what some of my potential ancestors have gone through. In that sense, it's good for me, but for some other people, it might be destructive for them.
Yeah.
You know, like when like sometimes your parents give something, you're a bit ungrateful, and they're like, but you should be so happy. There are people in like Africa or other places who are more worse than you. That's and when like they say, that's what they say. But when they say that, it's just a bit like, it's not really the same though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
I
it just kind of reminds me.
Everything, as you say, is relative.
Yeah.
Everything is relative, but at the same time, for example, like when you're younger, you don't want to finish your vegetables. It can propel you, it can spur you on. So I think there's two levels to it. Like, there is the level that everything is relative, but there's also the fact that, like, mate, be grateful for the situation you're in. Like, eat your vegetables. They're good for you.
Yeah, I agree.
Damn, when we had the SU elections, and I voted for everyone ethnic. That's what I said. And Dammy was like,
Read the manifestos.
yeah, Dammy said read the manifestos of the other candidates. Like, there's some people who have a good point. I was like, I don't really care. Like, for me, it's more important to have diversity in the SU than the best person there. So you kind of, this is what I said. This is what I said. I said what I said.
I said what I said.
Can I ask a question, please? So, are you saying merit's the most important thing?
It is.
Yeah, you are. Okay, can I play devil's advocate? Because I actually agree with you, okay? So, if you were in the USA when Obama was going to be elected, you had Obama, who was black, and then you had another candidate, say, let's throw it back to a really good president like JFK, let's just say he's better than Obama, yeah? Now, I believe in merit, but I would have voted for Obama.
No,
what would you have done?
At the same time, you weigh both of them up together, though. So it's a case of where, like, you know, if you've got a candidate, obviously, who's black, but they're nowhere near qualified to be there, then obviously you wouldn't vote them. But if you've got a candidate who you can say they are qualified, but they're black, while one's white, but probably a bit more qualified, then you know you weigh it up in that kind of instance. Like, actually, I can give it to the black guy because I know what that representation matters, and I know that he has the capabilities to go into the role in that sense. When I was talking about this, like, I just felt like there was some of them where like the gap between some of the candidates was like just
too big.
It was just way too big.
I'm playing devil's advocate again, but what would you say to people who would say that's just like, you're just as bad as anyone who's being prejudiced? Do you know what I mean? Because you're basically, if you have like a candidate who's slightly worse, but because you're going to pick them because they're black, what would you say to someone who's like, oh no, you shouldn't do that, you should pick the person who is the best for the job.
The way I see that is that there would have been a lot of times in the past, and even still now, that the best person hasn't got the job because of negative discrimination. So if I have to positively discriminate to undo that balance or to level out the playing field, then I'm gonna do it. Now, if we're all at the same level, and then I'm picking someone because they're black, then that's different. But we're not at the same level.
I was gonna say that because at this moment in time, it isn't a level playing field. So therefore, some do need more assistance than the other. It's just like you have like two children, unless the one's obviously maybe a bit black, but one's able and disabled. Like you would help the disabled one a lot more, you know what I mean, to get them up to the you just help them a lot more and give them more input, more assistance.
Yeah. You're saying that, for example, in the past that there was positive discrimination. To compensate for that, now we needed some form of negative discrimination.
Other way around. Other way around.
Positive.
Okay, other way around.
Was negative.
So, okay, and you're also advocating diversity, etc. But that actually might be counterproductive because you're going on a trail which will inevitably lead to if that sort of model was continually propagated, it would lead to what happened back then. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it would lead to discrimination in the sense that in the way that it happened like 50 odd years ago. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
You're saying that it could lead to an imbalance.
To like
the question is where, like, I think, do we all believe in positive discrimination?
I do.
It's good in some
Yeah,
places.
the green rule.
Oh, okay, so then this is a debate to have. When I think about positive discrimination, I think of like RARE, and I think of these programs that are helping us as, you know, black, minority ethnic groups who don't come from maybe the same upbringing as what, you know, a white middle class person would, and they're helping us in life. I completely agree with that. So who doesn't?
What do you think about quotas though?
Quotas is in, I think it's a necessity.
What's quota?
As
Like when they say
yes,
like we need like this amount of black people or BMEs.
I think it does need to be there because otherwise it's too easy to pick someone comfortable.
Also, I feel like you just need I think quotas are quite useful in the sense that you just need diversity of experience. Like, why would you want, like, say you've got a group of 10 people and you want, say, I don't know, you're working on a project, but all these 10 people have come from the same background.
Yeah.
Why would you want, how is that conducive to, like, any progress whatsoever? So I feel like having a diversity of opinion, it can be quite important. And obviously, like, some people might say, oh, no, if they're the 10 best people to do it, then so be it. But I feel like you could be missing out on something if you don't, like, you know, have that variety.
And also, let's not be naive. It's not going to be that every boss is going to want that kind of diversity. He just might want 10 of the same people like him, and then that means you will not get the job.
I know it's cliche, but it's actually very much relevant to everybody's way of living. Balance. Positive discrimination.
The balance.
Yeah, that balance, striking that balance is essential here because if you don't strike that balance, then that positive discrimination converts into negative.
I think it's so hard to get this level right. I think it's so hard to get this level right because I remember, damn ages ago, you were telling me you had this conversation with one of your mates who was saying that you said look at the diversity in like the FA about all the like managers, what you say, and then he said, what if they're just the best people? And it's like, okay, but I think if you look at a room full of just white people and you think that they're the best, like all of them are the best, I think that's so naive. And that's not to say that, like, obviously we want to live in a world where, you know, it's based on merit. You know, if you're the best, whatever your colour, whatever race, whatever sex, you're going to be there. But I think it's so hard when we're not in this world. But at the same time, I think that quotas, like, even if you look economically, quotas lead to some sort of inefficiency because there are going to be times where there are people filling up the quota who aren't the best and who maybe aren't good enough, and so I think that's dangerous in a sense, and I think that can actually lead to a victim mentality.
I think there is a risk there, and there's a risk of alienating the other group who do have that greater sort of staging, right? And that's where things need to be careful because it's not, to what extent do you do it and when do you stop? And I don't think anyone really knows the answer to this.
I was gonna say, I feel like some could also just argue that at least it's still a step into like direction. Even though I mean, like, yeah, we know, like, obviously quotas, they won't fix all of the problem, but we've got to move progressively, and let's start with quotas and then see how it goes, and then from there we start, you know, once like we believe that, okay, we're starting to gain, you know, like a more level playing field, a more level society, then we can start, I guess, taking out the quotas and start, okay, now we can start actually putting people who are actually qualified for the job.
What you said about alienation, quotas can sometimes actually just worsen the problem. Like, I don't know if Cambridge or Oxford have removed their quotas, but when they have quotas, you had a lot of the other races say to the ethnics, okay, you're only here because of this, you're only here because of that.
That's their own personal problem.
That is their personal problem, but it,
I
like...
remember that case. You raised that case about, what was it, Oxford? Yeah, there was a girl that...
YouTube actually.
Go for it. Explain the situation.
So essentially, I think she was in the library, and so I said, you're only here because you're black, essentially. And so it's like...
Someone's got to catch
She's still there. And I honestly, like, credits to her, she's obviously like, you know, a really smart girl, otherwise she wouldn't be there.
It's just undermining everything she's achieved.
But then you've got to then ask yourself whether you care about this random person's opinion who's having very little impact in your life.
In my opinion, it's a very minute problem compared to
okay, but that's one guy.
But it is still a problem.
One guy. Do you get what I mean?
But
that's not just going to be. That's not just going to be one guy.
It's not like they will just give you the go if you don't feel it. Like you still have to meet. Exactly. Every single job, like you actually still do have to meet. Same with Cambridge, you have to get like 3 A star AA to at least get in. Same with a job, like you have to get this sort of so for them to even start bringing you in. So it's not like they just take.
Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell. So I was watching the interview today. They're supermodels, if everyone doesn't know. And essentially, when Tyra was coming up, Naomi was like established. She was the black girl. She was the black model, right? And then Tyra came up, and then the press, everyone was trying to like compete because it's like there's only room for one black. And it's the same. It's the same with even like rappers, like female rappers. It's like there's only one black female rapper. So you've got Nicki versus like Lil Kim versus who does she have beef with? Like
Remy Ma.
Remy Ma. Yeah. It could create such like ugliness and such ugliness within the people competing, especially when it's so small like this. And so Naomi asked Tyra, do people try and make you look like me? So Naomi's look kind of like try and copy it. Tyra said, well, not here, but you know, there was a shoot we did last week and they tried to make me copy your look. And then Naomi like stormed off. She stormed off because she was so mad that she has like worked hard and done this all for like someone else to kind of like clone her and kind of shut her out. Where it's like,
is this a Now interview?
No, this was 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
This before those supermodels.
So Naomi was in every right to show that anguish.
100%.
Oh well, yeah. Well, but
it's like with the whole Nicki and Cardi thing.
Yeah,
like,
do you know what I mean?
They've just like completely discredited all that Nicki's done for
because
Cardi's
that's
one
this
hit.
new Cardi B, exactly.
Could you not argue that it's a matter of perspective? Because they could be saying that we loved this image of Naomi and it's
but there's not room, it's like there's not room for both of them. That's the issue. It's like they're trying to shut the previous person out.
In football as well, it's like there's always has to be either Messi or Ronaldo. Like there can't be one.
It's different.
It has to be Nadal or Federer. You know what I mean? I feel like
when we're talking about the interview thing, and someone, I'm not sure when we spoke about this, but when we see a black person in like a predominantly white kind of like competitive like situation, you're like, oh, I'm pitting myself against that black person.
Exactly.
And these are issues.
I don't think that way.
That's interesting actually.
I don't actually think that way. If I see a black person, we're in this together.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, the black person you saw the interview, you're not going to see them because one's going to get the job and one's not, like realistically. So even if you're like, yeah, let's go, let's be like, yes sis, let's lift each other up. If the world is like, nah, there's only room for one.
It's true.
I think we need to extract competition, natural competition, which is what you're thinking, and that kind of
pitting people
against each other, right? There's bound to be competition in anything. Someone's always going to be number one.
Regardless of whether there's quotas or not, that would still...
In the model thing, I completely get your point.
On that note, they're not pitting two other white supermodels against each other. They're not having first another supermodel. It's just Tyra and Naomi, you know? The thing is, if they were doing it for every single person that came from, imagine every single person that came from Southampton, your supermodel, you're gonna go against each other, or London, just go against. No, it's because there's the two black supermodels. I don't even think they came from the same state. Like legit, like.
One's American, one's British.
Oh, one's exactly. So like,
you don't know every British.
I don't know.
Feeds into his point.
But it makes it even more poignant. But the point is that because they're both black, they're going against each other.
Yeah.
You know, they're not doing that with other people. It's just because they're black.
And it's not fair because we don't do that like consciously. I feel like it's external factors. that make us
Exactly.
think
I know
that
Amy
way.
Campbell's British. Okay.
Did you actually not know?
Nope, didn't know that.
Ah.
About your point about you know, black people, when say if you're in an interview, you see someone outside, another black person, and you're like, yeah, we're in this together. That to some extent can feed into that victimization mindset, because it means that you're saying that, you know, oh, we are at a lesser advantage to some extent, so we have to do this together. And that's just a perspective. Obviously you can say it in a different way and say, look, we're all trying to rise as a community, we're trying to do better for each other, so yeah, let's do this together. And you know, but again, you strike that balance between knowing that you could be just doing it for those victimization sort of sentiments, or doing it doing something else and saying that, now you're my competition. Like, you have to acknowledge both sides, I guess.
Fair point. And often, like, say there's like a Barry who actually might be more beneficial to you, like that you have more in common with, or you're actually more at the same level, and like you and Barry can actually push each other more than you and Cassie. Cassie's black. But I just gave Cassie is not a stereotypical black name. I just gave
Why? I knew. I was waiting.
That's exactly why I said Cassie. That is exactly why I said Cassie.
What is that not a typical black name though?
No. How many Shaniquas do you know?
How many different countries, cultures, traditions?
How many Shaniquas do you actually know? Give me one Shaniqua. Give me one.
I don't know one.
I have cousins called Shaniqua. Okay, alright, Sharkeisha. I really want Sharkeisha.
Sharkeisha, no! Don't kick her, Sharkeisha.
The point is that often, potentially, kind of grouping with people based on, say, like your colour or your race might hinder you, because someone else who's a different race to you might be closer to your level, closer to your interest, closer to this, and actually could push you further. You know, Shay ran like her Create Her Lane event, and I said, do you think that kind of like creating like all these like sisterhoods and like reducing competition could actually hinder your
self-development?
Exactly, push you less, because everyone is in it together. So maybe you're thinking, I don't need to work as hard because I've got this support system, rather than like all of you kind of competing. And I guess it is kind of like economics competition versus collusion.
Oh, no, please. That's what you're thinking?
Yeah. As in,
Mixing that.
Yeah, but I don't know, if you're in an interview and there's like two black people and you see another one, is that really gonna like comfort you or like make you perform?
Not really.
You're an idiot already.
Even if I see, I'm still competing the same.
If I gave an example of like the sisterhood, right, and I would say, I think it's important to have those safe places, but don't put yourself in a bubble where that's your only environment, that's your only place, right? Exactly. Like, it's fine to have that. It's
and it's
brilliant,
good, and it's like,
nice. But it's like, let's click back into reality. At the end of the day, when we come out of uni, that's not going to be the only people we're surrounded with. That's not the only people we're going to be working around with.
And I think it like limits healthy competition. Like, I can still compete with you in like a non-petty manner, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay, this is where she is. Not like this is where she is. I need to get there. Just more like, okay, let's run together rather than let's jog because there's two of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, check that analogy. Better one than the last.
One thing that I was thinking about is like, there is discrimination, yeah? Now what? And what I mean by that is you might as well fight anyway.
I was literally going to point.
You like what I mean by that is say Dammy's right and I can't reach the American dream, yeah? But by working I might be 5% better. I'm still 5% better than I was last time. So I might as well fight anyway. Okay, I'm not sitting here and saying that there isn't discrimination, because there is.
Exactly.
But it's in your best interest to be ambitious and to improve as a person anyway. So just go forward. And like, I know it's difficult because there are barriers, and it's easy for me to say that because I'm very, very blessed to be in this position, and it's a lot more difficult for other people. But you might as well give it your best shot anyway.
It's very easy to say that you're not in
He said it. He acknowledged that.
I know you said it.
I think that's
when you're in there, you don't see you've got this end goal that if I don't make it, I've not achieved what you're motivated to get out of. But to them, like, if they're still in poverty, whether you're 5% in poverty or 10% in poverty, you're still in poverty, you know what I mean? To them, it's to get out, like, they've got this threshold, and if they don't go past it, that's it, you know what I mean?
True.
I think that's a good point. I think Dad's mentality is like, it's an amazing mentality to have, and if the whole world had that mentality, fam, like that would be great, but like Dammy said, but at the same time, what's going to change you having that mentality is seeing it as like, because I'm black, I'm capped here, because I'm black, I'm this. Do you know what I mean? We're oppressed, because like people want us in jail, because it's less likely that I'm going to get the job. Then that's going to hinder your pushing. The discrimination now is such a great question, because you can't change discrimination. What you can change is how you react to it.
We can't change discrimination. So does that mean we should accept?
No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying you can't change the fact that there's discrimination.
Given that there is discrimination,
you can't change the fact that there's discrimination present.
I feel like that's what most of us agree with, right? If you allow yourself to be the victim, your path, your journey, your life has been planned out for you, because that's the easy way to go down, right? So it's up to you to take the step to the left, try something new, try something different, fight, work hard, get educated, because there are opportunities. I always say in the UK, you're living in the UK, there's opportunities for you, and I feel no remorse for anyone that doesn't take a hold of those things, if I'm being honest.
There's opportunities, but there's not equal access to those opportunities.
Oh, the quality, the quality and the access is different.
Completely
but
different.
It's not
So I do feel remorse for those people, because
no,
they don't even know. Some people don't even know that where something like
that. No, I didn't know
that. Some people don't even know that SEO is there, but it is there.
They can still gain education.
Those guys.
They can still be applying for jobs. They can still be doing. These are the sort of things we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like there's enough knowledge out there that you can have a job and you can be self-sufficient.
Everyone's just. Yeah, like sort of
controversial.
What Dammy was saying earlier. Some people, for them, they have this goal, and if that opportunity doesn't achieve them that goal, they will be like, they'll write it off completely. Do you see what I mean?
Can I add an interesting dynamic? Just a little bit. A little bit of a scientific one. What is often found with individuals, and we're seeing depression on a huge scale at the moment, but what we often say is that depressed individuals are, would it be correct to say, self-victimized? So they feel
that is mad controversial.
You're gonna
need all the honeys, mate.
No, that's
Be happy.
It's a very
Just smile. God damn it.
Look, they feel like society is against them, and so it clouds their perspective. And so, to some extent, to say that you know, from victimization, you should be able to get out of that, etc. Well, look, their basic biology is not giving them that opportunity. Their neurochemical functions in their brain is actually clouding their perspective to the extent that they cannot do or cannot act outside of it. So they're in this vicious circle where they feel victimized by society and all of these pressures on them, and they cannot do anything about it. So to some extent, to say that, you know, all of us who feel victimized, or black individuals who, and particularly in the black community where we are so ashamed or shy to speak about mental health, we should be able to break out of it, etc. It's not the case for all people, particularly in the case of people who are depressed or have other forms of mental illness. You know?
Came back quite nice.
Yeah.
I think that was a really interesting point, Timmy. And I heard Dan whisper poverty trap. I think it was Dan anyway, before. And so I think that is actually a kind of aspect we haven't discussed as much. This kind of cycle. What was it? Poor education, poor job, depression, or like lack of motivation, and then passes on to the children. That goes round and round and round and round and round and round.
Is this like moving away from black people a little bit, like just in general?
Oh no, this is in general. This is in general. So every black person is stuck in a poverty trap. But I think that, is it fair to say someone's a victim because they're like have constantly faced depression, faced discrimination, faced racism? Sometimes it is kind of hard to kind of break out of that view because it is constant, and like, because we are all human, how can we have to fight when other races don't, when other demographics don't have to fight as hard? Is it fair to say, okay, well, mate, just stop seeing yourself as a victim and keep on pushing?
What's the alternative? I'm a victim, somebody come to me, because that's not how
No one
life
cares.
is.
People are
No
selfish.
one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares.
We're gonna call this the now what principle. Now what principle. I'm being discriminated against.
Now what?
When you're saying no one cares though, there are things like rare SEO, there are systems in place, so obviously these are people caring that there's an imbalance and that they're doing something to help it, so...
No, but we don't literally mean like, no one cares. It's like, there's not as if like everyone's gonna be like, we don't give a... It's just like more like, the world is not going to feel sorry for you. Do something about it. Do something about it. The world is not going to stop because you feel upset or you feel hard done.
That's another.
Do you know what I mean? And obviously, and those things that you talk about, they're methods to get rid of that. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so this is the last point we're going to discuss. So obviously we spoke about black people. What about supporting businesses just because they're black?
Alright, this is it. This is the thing, yeah? If the stuff you're selling me is dead, forget it. I don't care. I'll be honest, I am more inclined to support you. But if what you're selling me is not up to scratch, then forget about it. I don't care. And then also, if you're charging over the odds,
Don't care. Just don't care anymore. Don't care.
You're even helping that black business to some extent by telling them that your product is not sufficient to compete with the products that other businesses.
But will
produce.
they, or will they think it's because I'm black?
Oh no! I'm sorry. If you think that, and you're in business, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna lose. You're gonna get destroyed.
I'm not saying people. Do you know what I mean?
They're gonna get
Come on, now me.
Yeah, no, you're gonna fight.
Oh, sorry. The dean.
Go back.
Am I a victim? I'm not a victim.
I'm not going to support a black business if it's not good, because I'm not going to encourage complacency.
Yeah, and that is a very important thing for our community in particular, because complacency and mediocrity, we cannot settle for less. And if we're just buying products from people for the sake of, them being black and trying to, it's not going to help them improve.
And on that note, I think that another thing that because when we say support black businesses, it's usually a small to medium business. If it's a large business, it's not going to be just black people. Yeah. If these people think, oh, because I'm black, people are going to support me, and they get a little bit of momentum, and then 3 years down the road they realise, oh, my product actually sucks. That's going to be a lot more catastrophic, because you've got employees. You put a lot more money and you've invested a lot more. Yeah. You need to be able to have organic customers because your service or product is good. If you think, oh, my friends and family are going to support me, you're an idiot.
Like, that kind of links back to like the negative aspects of quotas. Even though I do believe it, but again, the negative that it doesn't make things organic, like I said. So a good example is like in Rwanda, where obviously they supposedly have the highest female parliamentarians in the whole world, I think like 54%. But behind all of that, of the females that Kagame has put in charge, all of them still have loyalties to him, and behind all of that, he's that as a way to kind of like mask behind the oppression that's still going on to women within the country. But when people just see those stats, they think, oh yes, you know what I mean? This is brilliant. But women are still being affected there. They're still being raped daily. It's still a patriarchal society. Like you were saying, like sometimes it can all just be for show. Example, so when Tony Blair came into power back in like the early 1990s, and then he got like a load of female MPs with him together, but they just kind of, the media just labelled them as Blair's
ladies, something. That was it.
And just kind of, it can all be quite, like you said, for facade, just trying to show that we're improving when actually behind the scene that we're not. Pros and cons.
But that's what I'm saying. That's Blair's Babes is an example of you're just there because you're black. You're just there. So that's what I'm saying. It's not just this guy in Cambridge. It's a bigger problem than that. But I think complacency is a huge issue, and that's what, like, I don't know, I guess an imbalance, maybe like over support can lead to like too much support or too much positive discrimination can lead to complacency and lead to people not reaching their potential, which can just actually just cap the what is it? Is it PCF? PPF.
If your friend or your family member has stuff and you think it's trash, please tell them, because like you're not doing them, like we've said before, you're really not doing them any favors pretending like you like it. And obviously you don't have to go to them, it's garbage, I hate it. Be positive, like, or find a way to give them that criticism in a way that's gonna like make them improve it. don't just be the person.
Don't be a yes man.
Don't be a yes man. Exactly.
Don't be an op at the same time.
Yeah.
Also, black businesses, you have to encourage good black businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. And support doesn't always mean like support. Telling someone that something is trash is a version of support.
I feel like if you're not prepared to take criticism, you don't really want your business to advance or whatever you're doing to advance anyway.
Yeah, that is a sensational place to end. So obviously we discussed kind of a victim mentality, whether you should support people just because they're black, whether quotas are a good thing, whether positive discrimination is a good or bad thing, whether you should support businesses just because they're black. I think we've accepted the fact that, you know, there is discrimination, there is oppression present, and there is, you know, there are systems of oppression against black people, but as Dan said, now what? And I think that is like a great way to kind of just end the video, like now what? Hashtag now what? You heard it here first. Comment what you think, comment if you think we're talking absolute BS. Comment if you agree, share if you care, like and subscribe. Support black businesses and support me, myself and Ife. Not because I'm black, no.
End on that.